Welcome back, everyone. Coming off the second, I almost said first, but second uh, season one event that I played in. I played in the open at Galactics, and I had my first PQ locally yesterday. That was at AU Wilmington in Delaware. Great event. I actually tried a new streaming setup. So if you are watching this and you watch the stream, let me know what your thoughts are, or if you want to go check out the VOD for the stream. It's on Twitch. I'll get it up on YouTube later once I cut out dead space in between rounds. It's a new setup, so I'm curious how it does. Totally different structure. A bunch of crap nobody cares about, most likely. But if you do, I'm happy to fill people in and if you have pointers sort of thing, trying to fix stuff. But anyway, long story short, the topic is going to be Wednesday, really. So by the time this goes up, it'll be 2 days from now or so. I'm planning on putting this up tomorrow, Monday. We're scheduling it for then. FFG has a stream schedule. They just posted it a couple days ago for the next few streams, and it's the Galactics recap. Many of us, all of us, are kind of waiting to see if the other shoe drops with respect to force throw. Now, these two topics kind of go hand in hand. The other thing I was going to talk about is assessing results, which I'm pretty sure I've talked about before, but it's now in a different light. This could be a much larger discussion, but it's now in a different light thanks to Galactics existing and sectors and regionals existing. Whereas previously, say, season 0.1, so like set 2 meta, season 0.2, which was the set 3 meta. 0.3 was which was set 4 early Django stuff, where we started getting sectors and regionals, was the demarcation point of it's a different world. We have different data points to assess. PQs are, for lack of a better term, a clusterfuck. Like, there are PQs that are 15 people. There are PQs that are 128 people. And you see all kinds of crazy stuff performing well. And this is not to crap on anyone by any means. And it's going to sound like that. But like, look, it is possible to spike a PQ with a terrible deck and possibly even being a bad player. Many of them are not that long. You know, we've all gone to a locals, a showdown, or a 1K or whatever for different games. And like, yeah, I just feel like playing this deck. And I threw it together this morning, literally, you know, in the car while my buddy was driving or something. And yeah, I took the whole thing down undefeated, never dropped a game. That happens all the time in tons of games. It can happen here too. And it does happen in PQs. So I think we need to be cautious about pointing out that PQs, well, this is now the new meta, or this is that. When PQs were the only thing, of course we were using them as data points. But there's also internal testing. And the reality is I've been in tons of threads and Discord forums and posts and things where people are like, oh, well, this deck won my PQ, so it has to be good. Or this deck won a PQ, not even mine. It won some PQ out in Italy somewhere or something. It's like, okay, well, how many people were there? 9. Okay, well, maybe there are other mitigating factors, I'm just saying. Even if you win a large PQ, like, if you show up and all the players that would have been at Galactics were sick that day or something, and again, I'm not trying to crap on people's success. I don't want it to come across that way. But it is a card game. There is variance, and sometimes on any given Saturday, somebody can win the game. You know what I mean? So I think you just have to be a little cautious collecting anecdotes and calling it data. I am of the opinion force throw needs to go. But the reasoning for why I want it to go is different from what the reasoning for it to go could be, should be, or even just defending it. And for me, I find the play pattern of all these mid-range sluice pipes miserable. I've seen tons of people complain about, oh no, Data Vault is taking over, which, I mean, it is taking over on the back of these mid-range sluice pipes existing. And I understand why people playing random force dot deck would not enjoy playing into a removal heavy Iden build. I get it. It's the same feeling for an aggro player playing into the mid-range deck. And I think that Force Throw is propping up a bunch of decks that shouldn't exist because it is so powerful to create these either auto win scenarios, because I got triple Force Thrown again yesterday. And look, we all have bad beat stories. And this is not a knock on that player, but like there was nothing to be done in that game. It's like, all right, you hit me with 3 Force Throws before I deployed as Vader. Guess I lose. Like, what do you do? And 2 of them were aimed at me, 1 aimed at themselves, but that part isn't as important. I think there's a number of non-games that are created, and you could say that about any card. I think this one is more dramatic, and that's why I find it problematic. I think that, therefore, the MPE associated with it is worse, and MPE is always going to be fuzzy, where the lines for each individual, but there is an objective line, and we personally, as players, are going to fall on either side of that line or even on line, because I think there is an objective metric, and we're just debating about whether enough people fall on one side or the other to justify it for the quote-unquote health of the game. I think that there are also, as a result of a lot of these nonsense decks getting propped up, it is causing weird ramifications in the meta. And that means that we get a lot of non-games. I think that there's a lot of things that are showing up, and this is in addition to the randomness that is already at PQs, but I think there's a lot of decks that just shouldn't exist. And I know that sounds weird, because obviously they exist due to the existing card pool, but let's say Force Throw goes away. I think a lot of these random piles disappear, allowing for, say, more aggro builds to then come in, and then all the people complaining about Iden, well, Iden probably gets eaten alive by all these aggro decks, etc., and then the metagame evolves. You're always going to develop into this ABC, rock, paper, scissors meta, because even if there is a best deck, you could build a deck that consciously, like, it does nothing but beat deck A, and then deck C comes in to beat the deck B's, and then A revolves. My issue is always how many decisions are made in the game. And I do not feel that enough decisions are made while Force Throw is currently in the format. Now, I'm one of the people, I fully admit this, that I was one of the people that didn't think Force Throw was going to be a problem. I personally think that it is Kiadi Mundi that really enables it. But like the cleanest answer would be to get rid of Force Throw. Now, bringing it back to the PQ and the whole evaluating results thing, we already have Galactics. We saw that 6 of the 8 top 8, and it's over 50% of the top 64. I didn't break it down for top 32 or top 16. I'm sure somebody else did. Were Force Throw decks. So that could be Kylo, it could be Talzin, it could be obviously Han. Yoda's probably in there, whatever. Pick a Force deck. And I've said on many occasions, both in real life and online, that I am currently of the opinion, I don't care what they do at this point. I just want to know what they're going to do. So the worst case scenario for me on Wednesday is they come out and go, we're monitoring the situation. We're aware of the complaints, but we're keeping an eye on it. Because that means that we're still stuck in this world, but they may change it someplace down the line. And I don't have any idea. I'm tired of the sword of Damocles hanging over my head. Like, just make a decision. Just shit or get off the pot. And that goes for a lot of things, like where are the regional and sector details already, for heaven's sake. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure they said there were going to be 3 sectors and a regional, or 3 regionals and a sector, whichever ratio it is, per set. Well, there's 2.5 months left to this set. So, I mean, if you count Galactics and the Open as one of them, 2 of them, that's fine. But maybe we should tell people what the hell's going on. Because, like, again, travel. I got to pay for a flight or a hotel room or whatever. Like, these are real life things that are a lot of money that I think people need to know about. It's the same complaints I had going into Galactics. But anyway, that's a different discussion that I could tirade for a while. I think the data at Galactics is clear that force throw needs to be dealt with, in my opinion. However, talked to a lot of devs over the years, a lot of card game designers, a lot of card game players, pros, casuals, whatever. And everybody's threshold is different. Like, I've been told by devs before that 70-30 matchups are completely reasonable, and it has to be an 80-20 or worse before they think that, like, oh, this is an unhealthy matchup. I'm not of that opinion, but that's a developer for a very successful game. I've talked to other people, and they have varying opinions about where the threshold is for too much meta share, or wins too much, or wins too quick, or is unfun, or whatever. And I don't have a good handle on what FFG's opinion is, which in this case is the only one that matters. We could all hate force throw, but if they love it and they think that, hey, there's 10 unique decks, they're all force throw decks, it doesn't matter, it's still healthy. I wouldn't agree with that because of the play pattern of force throw, but I don't necessarily disagree that having a shit ton of force throw decks as the meta is inherently bad, from the sense that, like, oh, there's a staple card or cards. That's not a problem to me. But if you complained about, and I have, here's the crux of my argument, and I'm going to cut this off soon because it's getting long. If you complained about Boba or you complained about Django, you should absolutely be complaining about force throw. But it does not work the other way, I don't think. Maybe with Django, but not with Boba. And the reason being is this. The Boba decks played very differently. All the force throw decks basically play the same, with the exception of, I guess, the Kylo Tarkintown deck, which is a unique combo deck within a game that hasn't really had that up to this point. So it's very interesting to see, are people influenced by their favorite characters, cards, strategies, things, saying, oh, well, this is fair or this is not fair. And I'm trying, I mean, I'm going to be biased too. So I'm trying to, like, pull myself out of it and be objective about it. And I may not be. But ultimately, I think that they should step in, but I don't think they will. And I'm just hoping they say, they give us a definitive whether they're going to or they're not. And we can just say, yes, the rest of this set is going to play out this way, and we're going to be fine. But I think the most likely scenario is they do nothing and say, we're going to continue monitoring the situation. And if we need to, we'll step in. So in the meantime, I'm going to be grinding Kylo Tarkintown because it's probably the only other deck that I think is remotely fun. I think all of these, like, I think the meta right now is patently unfun. And it is driving me to want to play Riftbound. We'll put it that way. But we'll see. That's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Random's Thoughts.